Three. Boom. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? This is Maurice Brown on the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour. We stepped our game up from Instagram Live to Facebook Live. And we got a special guest with you guys here today. And he's out on the West Coast after only 1 year into comedy. He won his first comedy competition at the world famous Ice House in Pasadena, California. He's been seen on many television shows that include K Locos in the film The Holiday, starring Cameron Diaz, and was one of the first Latino semi-finalists on BET's Comic View. He's committed to being a positive role model for kids caught in inner city violence. He uses comedy to reach out and educate teens about life's different options. You can also stream Gilbert's hilarious CD, Just Representin', on Apple Music. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the very funny, the very talented Gilbert Esquivel. Ladies and gentlemen, Gilbert, thanks for being on the show, brother.
Yay! Yeah, I'm waiting for all the applause and roaring laughter. You know, all the applause to stop, bro. Let me enjoy it.
Right.
Let me enjoy it.
Man, I tell you, man, thanks for being on the show, Gilbert. This is an opportunity, an awesome opportunity for me. What have you been doing to deal with this pandemic? We can't get on stage. We can't do our thing, man. What have you been doing to stay busy in entertainment?
I've been busier now than I was before the pandemic. I have created
Wow.
my own shows. I'm creating shows. I'm doing stuff from home. I'm learning. I'm using this time to be able to learn how to do things, you know. So I've been busy. Sometimes I'm so busy I don't have time to go to the store, you know, to get some essentials because I'm too busy. And it's
Yes.
like, what, you know, I mean, I don't feel any difference in, you know, this stay home thing. I stay busy at home, you know. I do shows. I do a night show. I do a day show during the day called G's Garden Party. You know, plus I'm
Okay.
doing other shows. I'm doing a lot of things. Plus, you know, just doing whatever I can to occupy my time, my brother.
So, have you tried doing comedy on the virtual Zoom platform stuff? Have you tried that?
Yes, I did. Matter of fact, when I first asked me to do it, I was nervous. I was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, I didn't want to do it because like they wanted me to do comedy into a camera. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I really know. I mean, you know, I'm like, oh, but you know what? You know, I had gigs canceled. I had to do it. So I go, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do it. I said, I'll do it. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was nervous. And then somebody else called me and said, hey, we're going to do a church, but we're going to do it into the camera and only going to be no audience. And I said, well, you know what? Yeah, I'd rather do that to, you know, I'll get practice on this one for that big one that I'm going to do next week. So I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I had to rely on the laughs of the past. So the jokes that I would do, I did them so many times, I knew they worked. So I was relying on that by
Right.
faith,
Right. Right.
literally by
Yeah.
faith.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when I asked them how, I go, are they responding? You know, and then they go, yeah, they're responding really good. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So after I saw it, I realized they were going bonkers on the with the emojis. They were really, and they were making comments. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, they gave me more confidence to do the next show. So when I went to the
Right.
next show, I remembered that. And I just remembered that. And sure enough, when I saw the comments after, I saw all the emojis flying. Then I said, you know what? I'm gonna do my own show because the way they did it was they did it different, but I saw where they could have where the mistakes were, you know, because they had
Okay.
never done it either. It was their first time. So I learned from what they could have done, you know, what they should have
Right.
done. So on mine, I got ideas. I go, I'm gonna do my own. I set up my garage. I got a banner made of a brick wall behind me with my G's Comedy Club. And we came in with comedians, two other comedians, and we did comedy into the camera with the monitor behind us. All the emojis were going up, and we could see people laughing. And what we did is
Okay.
we all the mics were sanitized. You had to wear plastic gloves and a mask when you got here. We all stayed away from each other. You know, a couple of times we ended up getting close to each other because it's when you're around people, believe me, as careful as you think you're going to be, you're going to end up getting next to them unintentionally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe they're gonna
Absolutely.
show you a
Absolutely.
picture on their camera. You know what I mean? A picture. Hey, you know what I mean? Oh, let me. And you forget. Oh, because I do that all the time myself. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
innocent. So therefore, but mainly we stood away from each other. And I went on there. We went live. We did it live, and man,
Right.
it was fun. We killed it. Killed it. Now I have more fun doing comedy like that instead of doing it in front of like these other platforms they're using where they get a bunch of people watching you like looking like the Brady Bunch. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't like that. I don't want to do no shows like that. I don't want to do no Zoom comedy shows with people watching me, a bunch of people. You know why? Because a lot of people laugh. They're trying to be nice and supportive, and they laugh at the wrong time. They laugh
Yes,
during
they
times
do.
when there's no joke going on, and it makes you look like you got a laugh track going, and it
Yeah.
throws your timing. I'm like, oh no, I don't like that. I like the pureness. I'd rather not hear you laugh. I know you're laughing because I got confidence in my material. I know I'm funny. I know what
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
is funny, so I know you're gonna
Yeah.
think. So I'm going by that. By
Yeah.
I've done this thousands of times, brother. I know what works and what don't.
Yeah, yeah. I did my first Zoom show last Thursday, Gilbert. I was trying to hold out until we get back out there live, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I was like, man, I gotta do this virtual stuff. And like you said, you tell a joke, and then it's like 3-4 seconds delay before they laugh. And it's all off rhythm, and you're trying to find the sweet spot, and it's kind of, that was my first one, and so I guess I'm gonna keep doing it. Maybe I'll try it the way that you just described. It sounds like it's a lot better.
Oh, a lot better. It's gonna blow your mind how easy it is and much funner it is because
Okay.
you could feel it. And the solution to what you just said is don't give them no space to not laugh. You keep them laughing. The emojis, they'll keep going. The emojis are
Is that right?
continuous.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's how
Yeah.
you do it. The
Okay.
delay, you're only delayed. They're not. They hear the joke, they laugh, everything's on time. Just the thing is, you don't have to go by. You'll see once the emojis get going, you'll be
Yeah.
okay. And if you can have one person in the room laughing, that helps.
Yeah.
That's like having the whole audience there because you got the sound effect and you got the visual. Oh, it's amazing
Right.
how, bro, this is the future. You can kiss comedy goodbye. I'm gonna tell you right now, mark my words. You can kiss
Whoa.
stand-up comedy the way we knew it in clubs and all.
Yeah.
You can kiss
Yeah.
that goodbye, my brother. The future of
Wow.
comedy is right here. The future of comedy is in homes. The future of comedy is going to
Wow.
be in parking lots, at the drive-ins, on top of rooftops, on top of parking lots, in under
Yeah.
tents. It's going to be
Wow.
with, yeah, it's even, bro, I've been calling this before this thing even hit. I could have been a
Okay.
millionaire right now if the investor that I tried to get would have said yes. I would have been a
Yeah.
multi millionaire right now because I saw all this happen before any of this. I saw
Wow, Gilbert, that's amazing.
when China ran out of masks, I made a phone call and I said, you need to talk to this money man about doing this. We need to get
Yeah.
masks and we need to get water packages sold to corporations, to stores. We got to get everybody ready in case we ever face anything like this and we're going to be short of masks. And exactly what I said happened. The government would have bought my product from me. If I would have had my packages ready, the government would have been buying it from me. That would have been my customer because the government ran out of masks. You remember that?
I remember that.
They even called China to make masks.
Hey, but Gilbert, listen though. So you really, let me ask you something, Gilbert. So what makes you think that this is the new way for comedy?
Because it's better. And people didn't realize it until I went to eat at a restaurant that I always go at. I always go. I frequent. This is my favorite restaurant, and I've always eat inside. Well, I had to eat outside, and I enjoyed it more eating outside than I did inside. I told the owner, I feel like I'm eating in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills. I feel like I'm eating like the rich folk on the sidewalk. I go, yeah, that's what you know what I mean? Because in the hood, when you're eating on a sidewalk, you're standing in front of a truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in
Yeah.
Hollywood, you're sitting down, you got service, you got the outside fresh air, there's nothing like that experience. And I didn't know it. I mean, because to experience that in the hood, It's different than even doing it when you go to Beverly Hills. Because when you do it in Beverly Hills, that's what you expect. But when you don't expect it in the hood and you realize, man, I don't have to leave the hood to be like the rich. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy outside dining. And that's the future. Outside dining is the future. I called that before it happened. I called it. And my daughter's in the restaurant business, and I told her the future of dining and fine dining is outside in parking lots under tents. You watch. Same thing with comedy and entertainment. It's gonna be, everything's changing, brother. Hollywood no longer. We no longer need the Hollywood clubs. We don't need the comedy clubs anymore. We don't. The thing is because unfortunately, and I feel bad for them. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying before you only had a few comedy clubs. That's all you had. You know, and a lot of people were forced to go out and to do restaurants, and they were forced to find other stages. Well, guess what? Now you no longer need the comedy club scene because it's no longer going to be that. It's going to be outside of the comedy club. The comedy clubs are going to be there, but it's going to be outside. That's what I'm saying. That's what you're going to have to get used to. However, you can do that anywhere. You don't need to rely on a comedy club to hire you. You can do comedy from your garage. I made history, my brother. I was the first person to do this. I was the first. The Laugh Factory tried it. You know, the other comedy clubs tried it, but they didn't do it the way I did it. Theirs was different. There was no connection. When I did it, my comics were bagging on the audience. My comics were bagging on the audience, my brother. Yes, it was like these people were screaming, laughing, bro. It was crazy. I made history. I claimed it that night. I told them nobody's ever done what I did, what I'm doing right now. And not only that, NBC tried it. NBC did a thing of all comedians, and I couldn't wait for it. I wanted to see it. I thought they were going to do stand-up comedy. They didn't. All they did was comedy skits. Howie, what's his name? Russell Peters and Howie Mandel did a skit about doing comedy with no audience. Now, they didn't do comedy. They just made fun of trying to do comedy with no audience. Well, I understand how people don't like doing that. But the thing is, I did it. I did stand-up comedy with no audience sitting in front of me, but a virtual audience. And we killed it, my brother.
Wow, that is amazing. And you know, the thing, Gilbert, you know, when you tell a joke and when you're on stage, you kind of want to wait a second for the laugh, right? Normally. And that makes the Zoom a little bit different. You say just keep going, keep going, keep going. It's better to keep going on Zoom or the virtual platform. But when you're live, you kind of want to wait for the laugh, right?
No, you don't wait for the laugh. You don't wait for the laugh. If you wait for the laugh, you might get distracted and think, because it takes a long time. It's delayed. If you wait for that, you're gonna think, "Oh my God, I ain't funny." And you,
no.
and in your mind, you lose focus. You lose focus because you know you start to panic, and now you know you get sidetracked, and now you're gonna tank.
That's true.
A couple of the comments had a problem with it. I'm not saying everybody. Not everybody had a good, easy. Some people had a hard time with it, but the ones that got it. And they're still being talked about. They're still being talked about. That's how well they did.
You don't have No, the thing about it is it's hard for some comedians. I did my show last week and it went really well. It just felt awkward, but I just subconsciously kept going with the jokes. I didn't really wait too much. And I just kept, and I did pretty well with it, but it was just so different because it was my first time not being in front of a live audience and doing it on this platform. It felt weird.
Yeah.
But,
but did you read
my
the
wife
comments?
gave me a thumbs up. What's that?
Did you read the comments as you were telling your jokes?
No, I didn't read the comments. I was just kind of telling out because it was screens. It was a screen of people that I was looking at them. I was focusing on the faces.
Yeah, that's why I don't like doing that. I don't like doing those shows, bro, because you're right. I didn't even think of that. That's another distraction. Because if I see a fine girl on there, I'm gonna be looking at her. Nah. I'm like, hey, I forget my joke. No, I'm kidding. No, but it's true. You do. You see a beautiful woman, you rather, you see, or you see some guy with one eye up here and one down here. You're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Now, me, I would start bagging on that person, but then nobody else sees them. You know what I mean? Because that's what I do, my brother. I was raised that way. I was raised in comedy where you see something, you better say it. You bet. If somebody walks in with one leg growing out his neck, you better talk about that leg going out his neck. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, but Gilbert, you're really good. I watched a lot of your routines, man, and you kill. You keep it going. You're constant. The jokes are always landing. I mean, you land a lot of your jokes, man. It's really good. You're really smooth, and now you kill, man. And I guess that's this natural skill. I want to ask you about your start in comedy because I know that you were at a comedy show and the comic started messing with you, and then you made him pay the price. You switched the tables. You made the heckler was the comic, and you were the comic in the audience, and you fried him. Man, tell us a little bit about that, Gilbert.
Okay, first of all, it wasn't a comic. It was a bunch of comics.
Oh,
We got them all. Me and my brother.
oh man.
We beat them
Oh,
down like, bro. We beat them down like if it was a beat down. We had them
wow.
walking off the stage. One guy
Well, so
walked
tell
off
us
the
about.
stage, and he was on the Tonight Show about a week later.
So
Yeah.
tell us about how it all happened, Gilbert.
Well, first of all, my very first time on stage as a comedian was in the second grade. And I for show and tell. I didn't have no toys to show, so I had to make up stuff, and I had no stories to tell, so I just wanted to get up, and I would go up, and I would just improvise. And I remember
Yeah,
I improvised, and I was even in Spanish, and these were little white kids, and I did it in Spanish, and then I killed. I got a laugh. I mean, I killed, and I got the bug. And then I did it again in front of the whole school in ninth grade at an assembly, and I killed.
yeah.
And I saw that's what I say. I started back then. But at this time, we
Wow.
went, my brother and I told my brother about a place that you go and you drink beer and comics tell jokes, and it's crazy. I didn't even call them comics. I go, and guys get up there and tell jokes. So we
Yeah,
went, we wanted to go. So we took our wives and they put us in the front row, right in front of the stage. And that was the biggest mistake they could have made, knowing that comedians pick on audience members. You know,
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
comedians are known for, to pick on the audience because they have to. They have to. That's what you pay for. We pay for comics to pick on us. So,
yeah,
but I didn't know this. I just thought we were having fun because in the hood, that's
yeah,
what you do. We have fun. You talk about my mama,
yeah,
and I talk about your mama's teeth
yeah,
that she bought at the store. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
No
it
doubt.
is. You
Yeah,
ain't gonna shoot me and beat me up because I talk. I'm playing. That's how we
yeah.
roll. You know what I mean? This is how
Right,
we do it. So therefore,
right.
I thought that's how we were doing it. They were trying to mess with us. We're like, oh yeah, we just shot back. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
we're getting bigger laughs than they are. Matter of fact, the first time that I walked into the club, it was just me and my wife. This was the week
Okay.
before. My wife and I
Okay.
walked in, and Brad Garrett was on stage from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes.
That big
Yeah,
tall
yeah,
dude.
yeah. Big
He
tall
had
guy.
just
Yeah.
he had just won Star Search, $100,000. He was the winner, and he was on
Okay.
stage when I walked in, and he goes,
Yeah.
look at the Mexican, always late."
No.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, he
Yeah, oh, he
didn't.
was cool. I mean, I didn't take it personal. I just shot right
Okay.
back with something. I forgot what it was because I walked in on one of his jokes and I used his joke against him with what he said, and everybody started
Yeah.
laughing. So
Yeah.
he was like, "Hey, I'm the comedian around here." So
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
get off of me there. You need to go do your little show, homie. You don't want none of this. I do this for free. You get paid for it." So, anyways, when we
That's
went
funny.
back,
That's
my
funny.
brother. And then not only have you heard of the comedian Tom Dreesen? Have you ever heard of
I've
him?
heard the name. I've heard the name. I don't know that I've ever seen him.
Okay, Tom Dreesen did the Tonight Show more than any other comedian there was. He did it.
Okay.
Gee, maybe over. He did it with Carson and with Leno. This guy did like
Wow.
over 50 sometimes. Yeah. Well, he was
Okay.
there that night practicing his set for the Tonight Show, and he did his setup. One of his jokes, he did the setup, and I jumped in with I punched it, and everybody
Yeah.
laughed. And he said his punchline, and nobody laughed. And he said, "Hey,
Wow.
I like yours better. I'm gonna use yours."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the MC got up and said, "Would anybody like to get up here and tell a joke?" And I said, I do, And I got up there and I told a joke. And bro, these two guys that were sitting in the front row with us, they weren't saying, they didn't laugh once at any of the comedians. They were just sitting there drinking beer. They had long hair. Yeah, they didn't smile, nothing. Well, when I said this joke, these guys spit their beer out of their mouth. And yeah, so anyway, but it was a joke that I had heard another comedian do. I didn't know any. I just repeated what I had heard. It wasn't my joke. I just repeated it. You know what I mean? But I got hooked. I said, I'm going to do this. But here's the kicker. When we got up to leave, because we finally got up to leave, the whole audience applauded for me and my brother. And the comedian that was on there, a lady who happened to be on the Oprah Winfrey show a week later, or about a month later, I'm sorry, Lotus something. Have you ever heard of her? Lotus. Anyway, she was on the Oprah Winfrey show later.
Yeah.
But she was on stage and she goes, "Hey, wait a minute. No, it's not supposed to be like this. It's not. Can you wait till I'm done? Then you can leave, because you're not supposed to be getting the applause. We are." So I go, "All right." We sat down and the rest is history.
Wow, man, that's absolutely amazing. I've never heard a story like that. I've never heard a comic getting a start like that. And clearly, dude, when you hit the stage, there was no looking back. I mean, you've just been killing it ever since.
No looking back.
Um,
Jay
yeah,
Leno,
yeah,
Jay Leno said it took him 4 years to finally consider himself funny, where he started getting laughs. 4 years. He said, but I looked at that as 4 years of college. That's what Jay Leno said in
yeah.
his book. And
Well, yeah, yeah,
like I said, I've been making people laugh since I was 3 years old. I was making people laugh.
yeah. Well, you
My
know
dad.
what, Gilbert? It's natural for a lot of comics, and then for other comics, they're funny, but it's not so natural, and you got to work at it and work at it. You got to bomb a lot, you got to fail a lot. Then you kind of understand what you need to do, and so it's because I've been in it for 7 years, and I just this year now feel like, okay, man, I think I got this thing, and then all of a sudden we had COVID-19, this pandemic shut everything down. But you're just one of those comics, Gilbert, where, dude, you just kind of like automatic. You just got it, man. And it's not like that for everybody. You're just blessed, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, it is, and
Yeah,
that's why
man.
you said it right there. That's I would try to act all humble and all that, and I tried to be humble, but with something like this, I can't even take any credit for it, because you just said, I'm sorry, I dropped my phone, but you just said it. I'm blessed. I'm God.
Yes.
God blessed me with this, and I sharpened it. He gives
Yeah.
us all that gift, I believe, but some of us just sharpen it. Some of us sharpen certain gifts more than others. You know what I mean? And
Well,
my
that's
daddy
true.
was funny.
That
My
is true.
mom's side of the family was funny. Funny comes from all angles, and I think that some of the funniest people I know have never stepped foot on a stage. There's a lot of people that are just funny. Some people are funny because they were forced to be funny. See, some people, I think some
Yeah.
of the funniest people, either they're so funny because either they've laughed or they'll cry. There's no in between. If they don't laugh at their life, they'll cry, and they prefer to
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
If I can make you cry with my life, but I'd rather make you
Yeah.
laugh. You know what
Wow,
I mean?
man, I love it. That's a great testimony. And as you say that, Gilbert, I know that, because I think I read an article where you were talking, because you're a Christian man. You said that you rather consider yourself a clean comedian rather than a Christian comedian. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I don't even like to be calling. I don't like to call myself a clean comedian either. I'm not a clean comedian. I'm not a
Okay, okay,
I'm not a clean comedian. I am a funny man. I'm a comedian.
okay,
I'm a
okay.
comedian. I don't.
Yeah,
If I want to cuss, I can make you laugh cussing, but I don't have to. I can make you laugh with not saying a single cuss word, and I prefer to not use any language like that, because I don't talk like that off stage. When I'm at home,
yeah,
I don't ever, you'll never, in the 33 years that I've been married, I've never called my wife out of her name. You know what I mean? I've never
yeah.
called her any woman, nothing you would ever call I've never called a woman a B word. I have never called any woman a
Amen.
B word.
Praise the Lord.
I have never called any woman a B word. I don't, that's just, so why try to be something on stage that I'm not off? So, but I don't like to be called a clean comedian, because people think clean comedians aren't funny. They associate like, oh, he's,
Yeah.
weak. Well, bro, I've had to follow Def Jam comics that were destroying Doug. I
Yeah.
remember when I had to go after Doug Williams, and he had people screaming, doubled over, laughing, and Doug was getting low down, dirty with it. You know what I mean? Getting with it. You know what I mean? Def Jam. I mean, he was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
he was being real. That's all. But he was touching on a subject that people were like freaking out. He was funny. He killed it. I was right there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh no, Lord. I gotta follow this. Oh Lord, we need your help, Lord. Oh Jesus, you're gonna have to help me,
Yes.
Lord.
Yes, sir.
So I went right after Doug because I'm the headliner, right? I'm headlining this
Yeah.
time. No, actually, I'm not the
Wow.
headliner. I'm just going last. I take that back. No,
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
going last.
Okay.
Just because you go
Yeah.
last doesn't mean you're the headliner.
No, not necessarily. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But no, so I went on there, my brother, and I did about 45 minutes and killed it without a single cuss word and talking about Jesus.
Wow.
And
Nice.
Doug,
Nice.
Doug,
Now,
Doug, Doug came up to me after and paid me the biggest compliment, and that was right there. That was enough for me.
so, and this was on Death Comedy Jam?
No, 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 no. I said I've had to follow comics that with that Def Jam comedy. Def Jam, when you cuss,
Oh, right, right.
if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't cuss on Def Jam, they're not gonna put you on Def Jam. I got turned down for both Def Jams because I didn't cuss.
Ah,
I wasn't with that energy. I couldn't. They were taking it. They were over there. I wasn't. I was doing little safe jokes over here. And
yeah,
they didn't want
yeah,
even on they did the Mexican one, Def Jam Latino. They didn't even put
yeah.
me on that.
Wow.
I killed it too with the audience, but I was clean. And they
Yeah.
were encouraging people to cuss. They were encouraging people
I
to.
didn't, Gilbert, I didn't know they went that hard with it, man. Wow. That's surprising. Because there are a lot of good comics that can kill in that audience. They wouldn't have to use that language. That's surprising, dude. Wow, man, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Well, you talk about a lot of different cultures, Gilbert. I notice on stage you talk about your life in the ghetto, and you talk about white, black, all these different things. I want to ask you, if you don't mind, considering the social and racial climate in America right now, based on what happened with George Floyd, what's going on with Breonna Taylor, and so forth and so on. Do you think with everything that's, because now it's so bad, Gilbert, for the first time in history, the entire world is appalled at America and the racial injustice that is occurring in this nation right now. Do you think that we can end up having positive, effective change, Gilbert, as a result of what's happening right now?
well, I think the world has been appalled at America since Vietnam. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And they
yeah,
just haven't been able to say nothing because not only they are appalled at us, but they're also dependent on us.
yes,
If we
yes,
crack, everybody breaks. You know what I mean? That's the way it is. It's whether people like it. They know when our economy
yeah,
suffers, the whole world suffers. So
yes,
no, you see what I'm saying? So no, the thing is that now is that we are. It's just piled up. So our sins have piled up on us, and it's people are just they're not putting up with it anymore, bro. We're this country is guilty of many things, my brother. It's a great country, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but we're not
yeah.
innocent. You know what I mean? We're not
No,
innocent.
we're not innocent, Gilbert. You're
None of
right.
us are black, Mexican, white. Nobody's innocent. We're all guilty. We're all. This is hey. If we call each other one nation, under God, well, some people don't want to be called that. That's on them, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But we call each
yeah,
other one nation. We're not acting like it right now. This nation is divided. You got
yeah,
you got red and blue. You got Crips going up in Washington, Crips and the Bloods. You know what I mean? The Republicans and the Democrats. You know what I mean? There ain't no
yeah,
peace
man.
right now. Ain't no peace. No peace.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
discussions. There's no nothing. It's all like Donkey Kong, and it has nothing to do with race.
It
All
is. That's
this
true.
stuff that we're dealing with, my brother, has nothing to do with race. Race is just a tool being used
Okay.
by the real enemy, and that is these forces of darkness, these rulers of these. There's an evil force behind the scenes, bro, that we're not aware of. That's who's responsible. That's who our enemy is, and they're using us and pitting us against each other. And that's what is the bottom line. Because I'm telling you what, my brother, if it wasn't black and white, it would be white on white. It would be black on black. It would be Mexican on Mexican. And that's the way it would be. That's the way it is. And if it wasn't Mexican on Mexican, it would be brother on brother. That's the way it is. That's the way it started. The bottom line is you got to choose a side. Are you going to go righteous or are you going to go to the dark side? Because right now there's so much hate going on in the news. It's going to suck you into that vortex of hate. And you see good people every day who are good, righteous, God-loving people, but they're furious at what they're seeing, that they get sucked into the vortex of hate. Now they're a part of that hate. And I see a lot of good people right now, brothers, who are spouting, shooting their mouths off, saying some mean, hurtful, evil things. And these are people of God, but they're angry at what they're seeing, my brother. Our emotions are getting the best of us. I'm going to tell you right now, I have to remind myself when I'm seeing crimes committed against my people on TV, I have to remind myself, hey, get your eyes off of that person. Remember, it's evil. That's the enemy, the forces of evil.
Yes.
And if you want to get sucked into that, you're going to become a part of that. And I ain't going out like that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Gilbert. At the end of the day, and as a black man myself, and you can relate being a Latino minority because you experience a lot of racism, just like myself as an African American. But I'm a Christian first, and what I have to remember is I understand the struggle, the problem, the movement, why everyone's angry. We get that. You've already said it. This has been going on since the beginning of this nation. Before the nation began, it was there. So it's nothing new. But what we do have to remember, I like what you said, is your faith goes first. So you don't want to get caught up in the movement, and because it can all of a sudden cause you to act out of character, say things that are not of God, and all these different things, Gilbert. So I totally agree with you. It's all about your faith, and I definitely try to keep that in mind as an African American, because I do understand what the anger is about. And my son is a mixed kid. His mother is Brazilian, so he's 21 now. So he has a white girlfriend. So he went down to Daytona a couple of weeks ago, and I told him, I said, look, man, when you come back, I don't want you to stop in Georgia and South Carolina. And he said, okay, Dad, I got you. So when he got home, he told one of his buddies, that I talked to him a lot while he was away, just to watch his back, stay woke, because it just is what it is, Gilbert. So his buddy, who's Italian and Latino or Arabic, one of the two, and I like the kid, but he said, yo, man, why don't your dad let you be who you are, man? Be who your color shouldn't matter. And my son said, hey, man, my dad is black and I'm black, and he's telling me the right thing. That's all he's doing. And so I found it interesting that, and I like the kid, and I talked to him, and I said, no, this is what you have to deal with. I mean, when you're an African American, you have to watch out. You got a black kid with a white girl in a racist state. Watch your back.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is. And Gilbert, you have to educate people that don't understand what real racism is, because they don't experience it as much in life. So they're like kind of indifferent to it. So I don't know. What's your opinion, though, of like educating people if they don't really understand?
As far as like the racism kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Look, here's the thing. Like you were talking about how this nation, how it became, this happened. You're right. Before this nation, the reason this nation was born the way it is because people came from another nation who were being oppressed, who could not
Right.
worship the way
Exactly.
they wanted to. They couldn't. They were under severe oppression. So they brought that over here. That, like with the fleas, came with the ship, and then fleas came over to this country, and then those fleas of oppression and everything started doing the same thing, oppressing these natives that were here, the Native Americans that were here, and then bringing in black slaves here. You know what I mean? From another nation who had evil there, doing to their own people, selling their own people. To other evil people who were going to use these people for evil purposes. You see what I'm saying? But bro, look at what happened in Egypt. Egypt, all the slaves that they had ended up, it backfired on them. It
Yes.
backfired on them. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what's going on with America. All that oppression that we've ever done, that America, and I say we, I'm American. If I'm going to say I'm an American, I got to go down with my ancestors. I got to go down with it. I'm an American. And if you're going to hate America, guess what? I'm an American. Whether I like what we did or not, I'm an American. I'm going down with the ship. That's it.
Right.
I'm not moving to
Yeah.
Mexico. You know what? No. I'd rather sink with America in her ship with her sins and her
Yeah.
ugliness than to go live in Mexico with your sins and your ugliness. Because you know what I mean?
Yes.
Nobody
Yeah.
innocent. I love this country. Don't get me wrong. All I'm saying is that you cannot do what you do and not expect to pay the consequences. There was a saying somewhere there that democracy will cannibalize itself in the end.
Whoa.
And that's
That's
exactly what's going on right now. Democracy is cannibalizing itself before our very eyes. That's what you're witnessing, my brother.
wow.
You're
Wow.
witnessing that.
So
But that's the way it is, my brother. There's a price to freedom. Freedom is not free, bro. There's always a price to pay with everything. And this is what we're doing. We're paying a price. That's why you have to decide, am I going to get sucked in to all this hatred and all this stuff that I have no control? I got no control over this stuff, my brother. I got no
yeah.
control over an officer shooting me just because I lifted my hands too high. I've seen too many videos like that. But at the same time, you're not going to stop me from praying for my police officers where God told me to pray for them because they're here to protect me and to serve me. And there's some bad cops out there. And when I pray, I say, Lord, protect those good cops that you have out there protecting us. But Lord, I
And
pray that
amen.
you help them become better officers, help them solve crimes. I go, but please get those bad cops that are corrupt. I pray that you expose them and show them what they really are and get them off the force. That's how I pray for my police officer, because I would hate to live in a country with no police, my brother.
Now, well, believe me, Gilbert, the world, America doesn't want that. That's just a bunch of talk right now. So no, we don't. That's the last thing we want to see happen in this nation, Gilbert. And I was going to ask you about law enforcement. That was my next question. Have you ever had a bad encounter growing up as a Latino American with law enforcement?
I think it went, bro. I had friends who were cops. They used to come to my house to score drugs. Okay. I have friends that were cops that did time in prison for being
Yeah,
corrupt. Some of the most
yeah,
they're literally in history as some of the baddest cops. You can go on I think the 10 worst corrupt cops in LA and
yeah.
my friend number 6. You know
Whoa,
what I'm
my
saying?
goodness.
I can go
Wow.
deeper with. I've been a victim of it. I had it coming. No, I know. I'm not gonna make excuses. I'm
Yeah.
saying there, but here's the thing, my brother. Yes, I've seen it. I've seen corruption. It's there. I've seen it, my
Okay.
brother. It's not. I
Okay.
hate seeing when I see innocent people who aren't doing nothing, getting shot by someone that I'm supposed to trust in. I'm supposed to trust you. You're my protection.
Right.
God has
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
here to protect me, and you're gonna shoot me because for whatever reason I remind you of someone who committed a crime that I don't know what it is. But my brother,
Yeah.
look, and what do? We turn on each other. We hate each other, and then you got good cops being hated, and then now they're like, "What is good? What is the use of me being a good cop if I'm still being hated?" You know, I'm just saying. There's so much misunderstanding that we don't know. Give me an example. I know some good guys that were good cops before they started and they became corrupt. Because let me tell you what happened. I know one cop that lost his soul literally because of stuff that he saw. He found a baby.
Okay.
He found a baby underneath a house, tortured, and he thought it was a cat when he got called. And the mother had tortured this baby. This officer lost it. He's not a cop anymore. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Imagine you're an officer. You want to protect. You want to serve. This is your dream. All of you go to a report to a crime scene, and there's a little 80-year-old lady with her eye hanging out, her face tore up, just because somebody wanted her Social Security money. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you bust the guy, you bust him, and he goes free because you put the handcuffs too tight, maybe, or because it's some kind of technicality. You know what that does to that cop? it
It
ruins him.
messes them
He's
up.
no longer a
Yeah.
good guy. The next time he sees anybody that looks like that guy, I guarantee you he's going to probably want to take it out on him.
Well, that's true, Gilbert. That's a very good point. It's a very intense, tough, emotional job that sometimes takes the soul of a man. And a lot of people don't understand that aspect of law enforcement and the kind of stuff these guys have to deal with every day, Gilbert, particularly when you consider what precinct that they are working in. And they see garbage all the time. And, we don't think about that part of it. And they don't get paid very much for their job. They're not compensated well, and they put up with a lot of very, very difficult things. So that's a great point, Gilbert. I love what you just said. And in light of that, I want to ask you a little bit about your background as a youth in the inner city growing up.
Well, I got involved in the gang scene. I got involved in the gang scene, and
Yeah.
and I like to, thank God that my mother, who was not perfect, but she was perfect for me.
Yes.
It was little
Yes.
things. This is what I always tell parents. You don't need to give your kids expensive gifts to try to make them act right. Take your kids on a simple fishing to the pier. Take them to the
Yeah.
pier. Go fishing. Take them, show them nature, show them the wildlife. It's
Yeah.
free. It's free. Show them that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that if
Yes.
they're ever incarcerated like I was in a juvenile hall, and I got cement all around me, and all I can think about was those nights fishing on Venice Pier, all night
Yeah.
long, fishing with the Vietnamese and the black folk and the white folk and
Yeah.
everybody. It was just a bunch
Yeah.
of poor people hanging out fishing all night
Yeah.
long. I said, this is not the life I want. I want that life. And that's what made me want to straighten out. And that's when I decided incarceration is not the direction I want to go. Little
Amen,
things
brother. Praise
your
the Lord.
parents can do to get your kids to show them, you know what I mean? That there's better
Yes.
things in life than cement and wire.
Well, there's far better things in life than cement, Gilbert. There's no doubt, dude. Well, look, Gilbert, I appreciate you entertaining those subjects. Those are pretty tough subjects to really get into and dissect. I appreciate you being willing to do that and certainly being transparent and open in discussing your personal experiences in that. Let me go back to comedy and ask you a little bit about your work on stage in dealing with hecklers. How do you deal with hecklers, Gilbert?
Well, you know, I don't fight them. I roll with them.
Okay.
I
Okay.
learned to roll with it instead of fighting it. See, you can
Okay.
fight it or you can roll with it. I'd rather roll with it.
Yeah, you can. You can. Either way. You're
Yeah.
right.
It's like
Yeah.
a punch. When somebody punches you, you could resist it, it'll get knocked out, or roll with it and it'll slide right off.
You know what, Gilbert? I've found that to be the case for myself. It's like I don't like being mean to people, and most of the time, these people are have been drinking too much, and they're excited and they get happy and they think they're helping you, and so they're really kind of harmless. So I just kind of like entertain them, and they'll sit down. Uh, and I continue to my punchline, and I'll say something and go back and forth, and they usually leave. They just stop talking. But the mean ones, I don't even think I've ever had a dedicated mean guy. I always try to take the position of, hey, look, I'm not going there. I'm going to continue with my routine, and it's praise God, it's worked out pretty good for me. But a lot of comedians, man, they love to go for it, man. I mean, they live to destroy a heckler, and so I didn't know what your frame of mind was in dealing with them, because I can
I've
tell you
done
right now,
both.
Gilbert, yeah,
I've
yeah,
done both. I've destroyed them, and a lot of times when you destroy them, a lot of times you destroy them, you lose the crowd.
yeah, yeah,
Or well,
yeah.
one time I should say check this out, just to give you my very first time headlining was in San
Yeah.
Jose. My first
Okay.
time headlining. It was Manny
Right.
Maldonado, Dennis Gaxiola, and I was headlining, and
Okay.
room was full, and there was a guy sitting by the stage in a wheelchair. He was a quadriplegic, really handsome
Okay.
guy, hair to the side, looked like a movie star. He was with this girl in
Yeah.
a mini skirt next to a really attractive young lady in a mini skirt next to him. And I had on a red
Yeah.
jacket. And as soon as I
Okay.
got up there, now I got to do 45 minutes now as a headline, first time. he starts messing with me. He calls me a, what do you call me? He called me a something matador faggot. He
Oh
like
no!
they
Oh no! 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 No!
matador faggot. He was talking like that, right? And I'm like, what? Everybody's laughing. And I said, hey, listen here, Christopher Reeves. Ain't nobody talking to you. You know what I mean? I started messing with him about, and then the people are like, oh no, boo. I go, what do you mean, boo? What is he gonna do? He can't catch me, and I started making fun of him, trying to catch me. I mean, so I lost the audience. I lost them. I gotta be
Yeah.
funny. I got to be funny for another 45 minutes, another 40 minutes.
Oh my God. So okay, so that kind of bleeds into the next question, Gilbert. I'm thinking that's probably your worst bombing experience, maybe.
I didn't bomb.
Oh, you
I
didn't? Okay, okay.
no, they
You got him
laughed. They
back.
had to laugh, bro. You can hate me all you want, but you're gonna laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My jokes are funny. They laughed, but they didn't. I didn't kill. I didn't kill. They just
Okay.
laughed because they had to. They laughed because
Okay.
they couldn't hold it in.
So from that experience, I guess you did learn something about how to operate on stage and dealing with
Well,
people that
let me
heckle.
tell you the lesson I learned that night. I'll tell you
Okay.
the lesson I learned that night. Me and that
Okay.
guy that I was going back and forth with, everybody left as
Yeah.
soon as I was done. Me and him and Dennis and Manny and his girl, we all hung out playing pool. I was playing pool. He was just hanging out with us, drinking.
Yeah.
And his girl, turned out it was a guy. But the thing was,
Oh.
that guy appreciated that I did not treat him any different than anybody else. I treated him the way he wanted to be treated, like a normal person. And that's when I realized
Wow. Yeah.
you guys can
How
keep
about
your
that?
self-political correctness all you want. While you're over here feeling self-righteous, I made this man's night. And he made my night. We had fun.
Wow. And so that's all he wanted, Gilbert, was to be treated like everybody else.
Yep. He didn't want no
That's
special treatment, felt like a handicap. And that's what he appreciated.
Hey, Gilbert, you mentioned political correctness. I wanted to ask you about that. What do you think about comedy today in 2020? And of course, you're a little bit older than I am, but not much. We grew up in a time when you had Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Steve Martin, and I can go on and on. I mean, comedy was just, there was kind of a no holds barred subject matter with comedy, and nobody got mad. In 2020, everybody's getting mad. You can't talk about this. You can't talk about that. All. How do you navigate through all of that, Gilbert?
I don't talk about it. Hey, I can talk about I don't need to talk about stuff that don't need to be talked about. And if I don't,
Okay.
I'll avoid the drama. If I see a fight, I'll walk this way. You know what I mean? That's why I don't talk politics. I don't talk politics. I will with you. If I
Yeah.
only talk politics with people that I trust, that you're not going to shoot me because I tell you
Yeah.
your candidate, I don't like your candidate. You know what I mean? I only talk, but when it comes to stage, no
Yeah.
politics, no politics, no you because you're gonna have my fans are more important to me than my politics, and I'd
Yeah.
rather have you as a fan and as a friend than as my opponent politically. We can disagree. It's okay, but I don't want
Yeah.
politics to come between me and you. You see,
Well,
so I'd
and
rather
I
not
think that's,
say it.
yeah.
I'd rather not say it.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something
Well,
that's not mean, I'll say it. If it's something that's not mean,
yeah.
that's funny, I'll say it. It has something to do with, but even saying a name like, say, Donald Trump, just saying that name on stage will get you a boo, which can turn into a fight. It's getting that
Yeah.
bad. So why talk about it? They don't need to talk
Yeah.
about it. Well, it's the same thing with cussing. Why cuss? I can cuss if I want to, but why? I can be funny without all the drama. I can be funny and be able to go do your church or your corporate meeting or your whatever where you cannot use any cuss words. I have more opportunity now to go more places. But if I
Yes, you
cuss,
do.
then I'm gonna do your show and I'm gonna be editing instead of just I always tell clean comics and dirty comics this, whether you're dirty or not. I always tell my comics friends that are dirty, I go, be who you are. If you're a dirty comic, be a dirty comic. Don't try to be something you're not, because you're just gonna
Yeah.
mess yourself up. Now, if you got a set that you can do where you don't have to cuss, yeah, good. But just be who you are. Be who you are. That's it. That's all
Well,
I can tell you.
I work with a lot of dirty comedians myself. I'm clean, but when I talk to, and they're younger too, and I tell them, I say, listen, you know what? If you really want to make it, at least develop some clean material, 2, 3, 4 clean sets or whatever. So if you get an opportunity to go to the next level, like get on Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien, Seth Meyers, all these guys, you got to be clean. You can't get on that. So I always try to tell the younger guys that, just to give them something to think about, because they all think that, if they use all this negative, profane, vulgar, low humor, it's going to get an immediate laugh. Yes, it will, but it will not be easy for you to make it if that's all you can do. So I try to say that to a lot of younger comics, just to give them something to think about. Gilbert, do you have any comedy
That's
heroes?
Great
Good,
advice,
thank
by
you.
the way. Yeah, because it's like
Thank you.
MMA. The more it's like, UFC, MMA, the more disciplines, boxing, wrestling, Muay
Yeah,
Thai, jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
all those, the more that kickboxing, karate, the more man, you're more dangerous you are. So it's the same thing as a comic.
exactly,
If you can work clean,
exactly.
dirty, political, if you can, the more you're able to do, you can do facial expressions, whatever, however many tools you got in your arsenal, that's how much more powerful you're going to be. So yeah, that's good. That's good advice that you gave.
Yeah, yeah. I try to use that and try to be a positive light to these guys, because Gilbert, I've gone through a lot of dark comedy rooms, dude. I'm the only clean guy in there a lot of times, So I try to be a mentor and they're younger, and so I try to be a mentor to some of these guys, man. Sometimes it works out.
Right on.
So, but Gilbert, so who are some of the guys you looked up to in comedy as you were coming through?
Freddie Prinze,
Yeah.
Paul Rodriguez, Richard
Okay.
Pryor, yeah, Sinbad.
Sinbad, yeah, man. Sinbad kind of dropped off for some reason, but he was a really, really, at one point, he was really up there. Um, Sinbad was one of the good ones. And it's Freddie Prinze, dude. It's really sad what happened to that guy. He was going to be tremendous. It's just one of those things in life where you can't understand and explain. God allows certain things like that to happen that's beyond our understanding. But what a tremendous performer he was.
You cannot.
Uh,
I don't believe a human has the ability to handle that much admiration, and you know what I mean. And because when you're that young and you're that famous, and
yeah,
everybody wants you, everybody's pulling at you, and you're
yeah,
dealing with relationship issues, and you're plus on top of that you're dealing with drugs. Hollywood
yeah.
eats its young. You
Yes, it
never,
does.
if you're not using fame for the purpose that you're supposed to, then it's going to eat you alive. And that's the reason I believe that people who are famous, your duty is to be the purpose for your fame is to be a blessing to others. If you're not being a blessing to others with your fame is going to turn on you like a pit bull and is going to maul you.
It will turn on you. You're 100% correct, and that's what Hollywood does. You accurately stated, it eats its young. And Gilbert, honestly, that's when you have to have your faith intact. I mean, to get over into that level of entertainment, man, it will eat you alive. And a relationship with Christ makes all the difference. I had a chance to be in the movie Love Different in 2016 with Tommy Ford and Jen Gotston, a faith-based environment. It was very safe. I don't know what it's like to be in a Hollywoodish type environment where it ain't safe and they don't care about you and they'll cut you at the neck without thinking twice about it. And you're gone. But then what about the success part of it? You start going up and they start giving you things and letting you have whatever you want to have, and you
Act the
got
way
to
you
have the
want.
right act however you want to act. It's all good. And you think you're God, and then you got to have your mind focused on the Lord, man. You can't make it. You're right. You can't survive it.
These guys have so
And
many women throwing themselves at them, bro, that they forget you're not supposed to just touch whoever you want and do what they've become accustomed that I'm privileged. I can touch you. I can sexually assault you without you. I have this coming. This is my privilege. And the next thing you know, they're in prison. They're in jail because no, it's not. Your head, you got lied to. You know what I mean? Look at Mike Tyson
Yeah,
said
well,
that. Mike Tyson said that. You know, he was talking about how these women throw themselves at you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He was talking about that. You know, bro, have you ever been around famous people, around women? I have seen, not all, I have seen guys though, bro. They sit there and they grab them and they're rubbing on their booties and all that. And their girls are just smiling. So they think that every girl is going to be like that sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's dangerous, my brother. The devil's a liar, man. Can you relate to what I'm trying to say?
I can, and that's amazing how, you know, open that is, and how often that kind of stuff happens. You know, it's pretty bad, Gilbert. You've seen, hey Gilbert, look, dude, you've seen way more than I have, dude, by a long shot. But I can imagine, you know, how horrible that is, man. And so, you know, we just got to keep, like I said, it's all about keeping your focus on Christ in this business, Gilbert, particularly in entertainment. You have to be very, very careful about the lies and the deceptions that are before you, because before you know it, you can get caught up and be gone up here, and you know the rest of the story there. So, but Gilbert, listen, man, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I got a lot of respect for you as a comedian. I know you don't like to be called necessarily a clean comedian, but you're very, very respectable, classy act. And I've
Thank
seen a lot
you.
of your routines, man, and it's good stuff. And anybody can watch you and have a great time. Kids, middle age, black, white, you name it, doesn't matter. I mean, your comedy
Inner
transcends
city
all.
youth.
Yeah, man. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit, man, but I got to skate out of here. This has been a great conversation. And Gilbert, I'd love to talk with you again sometime down the road. And hey, man, don't hesitate to give me a shout out, man. If you need somebody to open up for you, if you need a feature or something, man, give me a holler, bro.
All right, my brother. Hey, I would love that sometime, man.
Okay, everybody, we've been talking with the very talented and funny Gilbert. Is located in what part of California, Gilbert?
I'm in Wilmington, California. Yeah, I got a show you can watch me on Sundays and Monday nights. It's called G's Night Owl Coffee Show on Facebook, 9
Okay.
p.m. California time. I play music and I just talk to people. G's Night Owl Coffee Show.
All right, everybody, follow that. Also, check out his CD called Just Representin', which streams on Apple Music, I do believe. So check him out, everybody. The very funny and talented Gilbert Esquivel on the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour. Thank you so much, Gilbert. I appreciate it, man. God bless you. May the peace of Christ be with you and your family, brother.
Thank you, my brother. God bless.
God bless. God bless. All right.